And welcome back. You know, the hot topic at the Capitol right now is there's disagreement between the House and the Senate, which I know is not something new, but it seems to be elevated, the coverage of it at least, John. So where are we headed with this education stalemate on the packages?
Yeah, so after being here 11 years, it's not exactly news that the legislature is not getting along in April. News would be if we don't get anything done by the end of May, and we will. Here's where we are. The Senate education package took a lot of money from rural Oklahoma, sent it to urban Oklahoma. That's going to be very difficult in the House. That's the bottom line. It also, once again, was not every teacher, not every kid, not every school. We've had a lot of rhetoric going back and forth one way or another, but here's the bottom line. We're not that far apart. The House wants universal school choice. The Senate so far has signaled they don't, but I think we can get there. Both parties want about $550 million going to common education. Now we're just talking about how we spend it. I think we're going to get there by the end of this year. We're going to come up with an agreement everybody can live with.
And by the way, go to news9.com/YourVoteCounts. You can see Senator Pugh, the Speaker's response to Senator Pugh. It's all there if you want to go have a look and get caught up on this issue. But you've been there in the middle of divisive conversations at the Capitol. It'll get done, right?
Well, I'll dispute a couple of points that my colleague just said. The House plan was going to take a lot of money from urban schools and put it in rural schools. The Senate plan, vice versa. There's a little bit of dueling op-eds right now on who's right and who's wrong. Again, if you just took a Venn diagram of education right now and you took the House plan and the Senate plan, you put them together, you would find that they agree on some stuff in the middle, and that is more funding into the formula and teacher pay raises. Those are the things that we can do. That's what we should focus on right now. I do know there's some dispute over universal school choice between the two chambers. There's not dispute among the public. If you poll the public on school choice, just on that alone, the public does not want taxpayer dollars put into private education right now. So the public says no, the two chambers are fighting over which kind. So we'll see where we get.
Okay, so we're going to get to talk about it another week, is what's happening. Okay, remember the conversations we had at one time about paying college athletes because colleges are making some bongo bucks over this? Then came NILs. We hear people talking about it. I don't know what it is. Help me out.
Yeah, well, the nitty-gritty of NIL is its name and likeness. So it's looking at high school athletes and whether or not high school athletes should have the opportunity to be paid for their name when they go to university. There's some incredible legislators that are working on this actual bill. One of them standing to my left right now. And the other, Greg McCourtney over in the Senate. Look, I think that this is something Oklahoma should make its own rules on. We don't need to follow national rules on this. We need to make sure we're looking out for the best interest of our own high school athletes. I have 2 high school athletes, and if anyone would like to sign them, their last name is Dunnington, and I'd be happy to have that name and likeness. So.
Okay, so it's sort of a sports story, but it ought to be a mainstream story. You mentioned the guy to your left. What is NIL? What's going on?
Well, it's harder after my colleague said something nice to point out we did have a great poll on school choice. It was the election of Kevin Stitt and Ryan Walters. But on NIL, here's what we're doing. Oklahoma is going its own way. Myself and Leader Greg McCourtney have sponsored a bill working with OU and OSU college athletics. The NCAA should be putting rules around this, but they're not. It protects student athletes. It lets the state of Oklahoma make sure we are taking advantage of this new landscape. And as I get the emails, no, I can't outlaw the transfer portal. That's my number one question on NIL. Can do it.
Okay. Well, listen, by the way, from the 3 of us, have a blessed Easter. See this again at news9.com/YourVoteCounts. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, @MitchellTalks.